everybody. Welcome. And thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. And, I'm excited to share this episode with you today. I think it's going to end up being a favorite episode for folks. I'm talking to Billy and Melissa Hofacker, who have just a really cool and intentional relationship. They have very specific tips and tricks and tactics that they use to stay connected. I think people are going to like this one. They talk about some of their rituals and perspectives, which I think are really helpful. They suggest one of them early in the episode, and I actually had them do it for me after we finished recording. We're going to put that behind the scenes at Patreon for our members there. If you're not yet a member at Patreon, you can do that at marriagetherapyradio.com and click on the Patreon button, or you can go to patreon.com/marriagetherapyradio. And we have lots of cool behind the scenes content, extra conversations like this one from Billy and Melissa, who, again, I think you're just really going to enjoy hearing from. I sure did. Today, I got a thank you letter from them in the mail, old-fashioned handwritten thank you letter. They're just cool people. And this is a very cool conversation. Stick around. How you doing?
Great.
Incredible.
Why?
That's a good question.
Life is full and very blessed.
Okay. What's that mean?
That means that we have everything we need.
Amen.
And we have more than what we want.
Wow.
All right.
Mic drop.
Well, listen, I'm willing to press into that because I always get skeptical when people fill out the form and they tell me that their relationship is a 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? How is that a thing? So
yeah.
Is it a 10? Can it be any better?
I'll speak to that. I think we answered. I'll speak for myself. I answered accurately. I think it is a 10. It's interesting. This might sound a little confusing because we actually talked about it after. She said she only put a 10 because I said 20, so she felt guilty. But okay. I was genuine in that, and I think if it depends how you perceive the question. So if I perceive the question as "Am I fulfilled in the marriage?" It's a 10. It checks all the boxes. It meets the expectations. It's more than I ever hoped for. We can get into all the details of that. But at the same time, we have is it 9-week-old?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a 9-week-old and she is our 5th, and there's lots of, I guess, distractions, and that doesn't always make things easy. And I think it's circumstantial. I would say, like, to answer that question maybe a little more accurately, I would say given the circumstances, it's a 10. Do I wish that we were a little more connected in certain ways? And there's always things that can improve, but I think it's about the process more than the actual thing. So we're like, there's reasons why. Okay, so we just got back to doing date nights, and we went last night, and we did mini golf, but we also did it a week or two before. Yeah. So if you would ask me 3 weeks ago, I would say, it's a 10, but I really want to get back to date nights. We haven't been praying together as much, and there's things that we need to continue to improve. And in my mind, and this might be my twisted mind, that doesn't make it less than a 10. It just makes it circumstantial. I guess it depends on how I look at that. So my heart says 10, but I also know there's areas to improve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe that, Melissa, go ahead and weigh in if you want to before I edit, or it's not edit. What is it? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to edit your response. I want to comment on it, or I want to have a commentary on it anyway.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think, we want to be realistic in our marriage, and with, the various life things that come up. Having a newborn in the house with 4 other children that need your attention, 3 under the age of 10, 3 of them under the age of 10. Our oldest
3 total?
Yeah.
5 total.
5 total.
No,
but our
3
oldest
total under 10?
Yeah, and then we have an older one that's 14.
We have 4 that are 10 and under.
Yeah.
4 that are 10
Sorry.
and under.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have the baby, and then you have these three other ones that are under 10, and then you have this teenager.
I'm the math guy.
Yes. Yeah. He keeps it all straight for me. But I think, we try and be realistic. But if you're asking, like, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. I wouldn't want to do the hard things with anyone else. I wouldn't want to, have those difficult moments with anyone else. I think our marriage has gotten really strong over the last maybe 5 years. And I feel that that's only because we're just constantly try and be consistent with the basics and, the foundational stuff. Which we can always, flesh out more. But I agree with the 10, but right now we're in a season of transition and, things are kind of up in the air and we don't know if we're always going to have that time to pray in the morning or evenings or have that date night. But we're just constantly trying to push forward and do a little better the next week or do a little better the next day, whatever that kind of looks like.
You know how they say no battle plan survives contact with the enemy, or every boxer has a plan until he gets punched in the mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
I came in here with a whole list of questions and now I have a whole bunch of other questions. So I have two questions. I'll park one and ask the other one. One is, whenever anybody ever says in my practice, they give me a time, they say, oh, it's been really hard for a while. Sometimes they'll just say a while, or things have been really great for 5 years. 5 years ago, the last 5 years, things have been really good. I want to know, what happened 5 years ago? What was that? So you tucked that in there. I want to come back to that. But then you said something about, we've gotten back to the basics and I forget the other word that you used. Do you remember?
Basics and foundational stuff.
Yeah, sure. What is that? What are the basics and the foundational stuff like that?
Yeah.
How do you define that for yourselves?
I'll take that one, and Melissa takes the one about 5 years ago.
Sure.
Yeah. If I can remember back that far.
Yeah, we do. I shared it in my poor man version of the form. I responded with just my quick email. I said that we do a lot of growth oriented things. I think that's foundational, is the idea of that growth mindset, within the marriage, that we can change, we can grow, we can connect more, we can listen better, we can parent better. I think that that's probably part of the answer to the 5 year ago thing. But I know that's not super specific. Specifically, we share 3 feelings with each other every day. We share, this is not every day, but every Sunday we sit with our knees touching and we listen to each other for about 10 minutes and we just listen. We don't do any advice giving or other insight. We just listen and kind of, in some ways, parrot back what they're saying to help each other process what's going on in us. That helps connect us deeply. We mentioned the prayer. We mentioned the date nights.
We do a temperature reading.
A temperature reading, which includes something we're grateful for.
About the other person.
I usually share something I'm grateful about myself, and then as well as her. No, I'm just kidding. And then we do, part of that is new information. Say, hey, Melissa, I just want to let you know that I was invited by this amazing guy, Zach, on his podcast, and we're going to be doing it next Thursday. I want you to be there. So make me look better. So we share that. Then we do something that we're confused about. So Melissa, I am confused why there's been no towels in the bath. I don't know, just whatever it is, right? And then
what? What's the towels thing? That sounds like new information.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that later.
Yeah. And then we do a preference. So the preference would be, hey, I noticed that you didn't make the bed. I'd really prefer if you did, after you got up.
Do you do this daily temperature reading, or do you do this
the temperature reading
as needed?
We do on our date night, which is Wednesdays. Okay. We try and do it Wednesday night. Whatever activity we're doing, whether it's just taking a walk or going out, somewhere.
Did I miss any of the? I'm sure I did.
I think that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's cool. Like I think it's, people talk to me, about doing the work, they're like, we're working on our marriage or something. And I'm like, okay, great. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're working on bench pressing your body weight, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm working on my form, or I'm working on adding weight every week, or I'm working on, I do push-ups outside of the gym, or, you can actually talk about what it is that you're doing. Most people can't do that about their marriage. They're like, oh, we're working on it. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we sit together, knees touching, and we talk about on Sundays, or, oh, we share feelings daily, or, oh, we have, I think that's really, really actually quite cool. So thanks for sharing that with me and with people.
Thanks, Zach. And I just want to mention one more that I think is this has been so transformative for our marriage. I'm surprised I forgot it. And that is, it's evolved over time, but we do a monthly. So actually, now this is reminding me of all this other stuff. So we do annual meetings. So the annual meetings are talking about what the goals are for our marriage, for our families, and we do all types of things. So we have a whole agenda. We talk about the vacations. We talk about what's going on with the kids, the homeschool, the whole thing. Yeah. That's not the thing I thought of, but we do that. The thing I thought of was that we do a monthly family meeting, and that has been really, really transformative. The monthly family meeting, it started off, I think, with like mostly finances, and we still do that. So every month, now we do sometimes more than once a month, but we do a financial check, we do a faith check, we do a fitness check, we do a friends check, we do kids, family, and that's been
something else that starts with F.
Most of them,
faith?
Faith,
fitness,
family,
friends,
fitness,
finances, family, and fun, probably.
Yeah. And here's the thing, a little bragging point.
People who listen to the podcast regularly know I'm obsessed with alliteration, so I'm
nice.
You got me. I'm hooked. I'm having that meeting now forever.
Yeah, here's something that I'm really proud of. So we have done that. And we have not done it perfectly, and we have not always done it on time.
Yeah.
But we have not missed one of those at some level for 16, is it 16 years? Oh, no, since 2010. So whatever that is. Yeah, like 15 years. We've not missed one single of those.
Monthly meeting. That's a monthly meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I think, has been really, really powerful in all those different areas.
Yeah.
What do you say to people? Now, see, I got another question that's like I got punched in the mouth again. But if I sell this to people, if I tell people, hey, here's what I want you to do, touch knees every week, or have this monthly meeting, or have this weekly date night, one of the things that always comes back to me is, well, he never once initiated it, or she never once initiated it.
It's a good question.
We did it twice, but then it fell off the radar because they, but like, how have you solved that problem? How have you maintained that capacity?
I think you really have to humble yourself. I think for myself, I'll speak for myself. I find it really hard sometimes to humble myself. I think you really need to just say, okay, how much is it worth? If he's not going to step out and give me the hug that I want, or he's not going to step out and say, hey, we really need to sit down and talk about this issue that we've been putting off, is it still worth he never does that. He never says anything about it. He never gives me that hug. Or is it more worth it if I just step out in faith and say, I know he loves me. I know he cares about me, and I can trust him. I mean, we've been together for almost 18 years. And I know that if I extend a hand, he'll reach back. And so I think a lot of it just kind of has to come down to just humbling yourself. And I think that's an area that I've really had to mature in my marriage. Because, as a woman, you want the man to always reach out be the hero and come and rescue you and do all the things. But he also has stuff on his plate and his mind. And so if you're sitting there feeling like, oh, my spouse just never does that thing, maybe you try it. Maybe you reach out and do what you're looking for.
Yeah, and then this is one thing I'll add. I think we've done a pretty good job of that sort of balancing act where it's like sometimes I'm initiating, sometimes she is, right? I don't think it's like always me or it's always her. Sometimes, and I love that. I love when she initiates, and I'm sure she does as well.
Yeah.
But one thing that we've not been perfect at, but it's been helpful when we do practice it, is sharing it from like our feelings perspective. Like, so like if I were, I wouldn't necessarily give advice to people, but if they were asking and they said, what do I do if, he's not doing it? And I would say rather than tell your husband that, he never initiates a date night or something like that.
Yeah.
How about just sharing your heart with him? And I know that's hard because you have to really just put yourself out there, and that's a risk. But yeah, I feel really lonely that I'm, that we don't spend quality time together, and I would love to spend more time. And I think that that approach is obviously going to land a lot better than somebody feeling like they're getting attacked or they're getting accused of something.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh man, I don't want you to feel that.
Yeah, and that's been a big learning curve.
Yeah. We were not good at that early on.
Especially for me.
Yeah.
It's so easy for me to just kind of, see something and immediately jump to it and say, well, you haven't been doing this. Like, why haven't you been doing this? And then he just shuts down and, can't hear anything else except I'm a failure.
Sure.
I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do as your husband.
Yeah, that's probably that whole piece is probably the biggest thing, I think.
Yeah.
Did something happen 5 years ago? Did you guys make an intentional shift 5 years ago, or why is that number relevant?
Yeah, it's funny that I said 5 years ago because now I'm realizing that was COVID, and I was pregnant with our fourth baby.
Of course.
Well, that's not one-sided. And we were gearing up to have our first and only boy. And
because you have 5 and there are 4 girls.
4
and 1
girls.
boy.
Yes. Yeah. So 3 girls, then the boy, and then our last one is a girl. And
is she last? Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're done.
Okay.
I am at my capacity.
That's an interesting phase, right? Like when
I know.
There's
a difference between growing your family and like being your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So we could talk more about that, but so COVID was going on, and by September I was in the hospital giving birth, and I really was just I've had experience with postpartum before, and I had an experience short-term postpartum with him, and it didn't last a whole long time. I actually did not go on any medication at that point because I got into some really good therapy. Feeling Good was the book, and it was under that guide that I got this therapy, and it was like an 8-week therapy session, and really transformed my mind in terms of how to kind of understand where the stress was coming, and how to relay that to him, and how to just kind of reframe my thinking, all those good things. And then church was different for us. We were heavily involved in our church, but once COVID hit, just things started to change a lot. We weren't as involved anymore.
Less connected.
Sure. Not as connected, which I'm sure a lot of people could relate to. Business was changing for him. We had 2 studios at the time, fitness studios, but he was also starting to do more online things and started his own podcast. And we realized, oh, wow, we don't really need a brick and mortar to do certain things. And so the door just started to open up, and the thought process started to open up to potentially moving out of state. We were in a high income area on the East Coast, and we had a lot of friends that were kind of heading south after COVID hit. A lot of restrictions where we were, including over fitness business. We were closed for 6 months.
10 months. Sure.
10 months. And so lots of things were shifting and happening, and kind of that groaning of like, oh, could we be somewhere different? I homeschool all our kids, and we really didn't have a big homeschool community where we were. So I was really doing a lot of it on my own. And yeah, I think that just kind of started the process of maybe life could look a little different elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, one of my intake questions with couples that I'm meeting for the first time is I ask them to go through and just talk about, like, in their story, there always are key, like, before and after moments. Like, before this happened, the relationship was like this. After this happened, the relationship could be for better or for worse. Like, could be before the affair, it was like this. After the affair, it was like that. Before the birth of our third baby, it was like this. After the birth of our before COVID, after COVID. Like, there's always these pivot points that people can kind of look at and go, oh yeah, that. So it sounds like that was one of them for you. Just that it shifted perspective and opportunity. And then, where do you live now? I don't even know where you are.
Middle Tennessee.
All right on.
Yeah, I'll just add a quick point to that. I think, from my perspective, I think a lot of the shift in our marriage has been a result of us having our own personal shifts.
Yeah.
So that's been, I think, a big part of it as well. And that, I don't think we need to get into it here. I mean, we could, but I just don't think it's as valuable as some of the other content. But I had some real shifts personally that I think caused me to be a better husband, quite honestly. And I think that's been a big part of it.
I mean, can you label them? I mean, we don't have to go into it, but like, if you
I have no problem going into it. So, like, I guess a shortened version of my story is probably not uncommon, but I kind of ignored a lot of things that were kind of underlying things, like character things, just mostly around feelings and just, kind of pushed everything down. And I was the guy, like, on the outside, everything's great. I'm crushing it. I'm staying busy and that whole thing. And then I was really humbled in my mid-30s because I had, in a lot of ways, I want to say, like, in a lot of ways, I had the Midas touch. I started this business. It, like, zoomed, and we had this crazy financial turnaround, real, like, crazy rags to riches story, and everything was great. And I had always one of my biggest values has always been health and fitness, and I've been in sports and martial arts and everything, and really disciplined. And then everything is a process. But if there was, like, a moment like you're talking about, there were two medical things. One was actually a false diagnosis, which was just wild. And so for a short period of time, I believed I had a terrible disease that I turned out didn't have. Oh, wow. But that really did a lot internally. And so like a lot.
The plot of a movie.
Yeah. So then after all of that, I ended up then getting diagnosed with something else that was real, turned out to not be quite as bad as I was led to believe initially. But a lot of that was just like that mortality thing, where it's like I was never, nothing was ever going to happen to me. Like I was getting it done. And then I had these things happen, and it was just like a real shift internally. And I did a lot of spiritual growth, a lot of emotional growth. And I think just like the timing of all of that really helped our marriage, because I was I don't think I was a bad husband, but I think I was a lot less in touch with what was going on inside of me. And as I began to grow in that area, it, I think, really helped the marriage and the family.
And then I came along in the marriage, and I had all these big feelings that I wanted somebody to hold for me.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it, because I had postpartum with our first. And that was a time where...
That's a good example. That's a good contrast.
Yeah.
Right?
Like he didn't know how to help that. He didn't know how to relate to it. But when he started to experience things that were painful and kind of a shock to his system, he then realized, wow, like difficult things can happen. And now he's kind of faced with his own emotions about it. And we both just began to start doing a lot of self-help and spiritual work. And our church was back on the East Coast, our church was a big factor in that. And so, yeah, those were some pivotal moments that, like, you know, here's someone that couldn't really get in touch with where I was at emotionally.
Now, I now not to brag, but now there are times. It's almost too much. There are times where I just start crying. No, don't watch.
Yeah.
He's a big crier.
What's it called?
Antoine.
Yeah, don't watch Antoine Fisher with me, because it won't be pretty. But I will say that sometimes now I am the one that's actually containing our girls' emotions.
Yeah, better than I do.
Yeah. So that's like one of those things where it's like your pain turns into something that's, you know, really something that needed to happen.
Yeah.
Well, only thing I'll say is, like, I think experientially and in my practice, but also culturally, I think more men need to have the experience that you had, where they kind of learn how to get over themselves and learn how to open themselves up to feelings and not be validated or you know, have their self-esteem be established by their career or their fitness. Amen. Or whatever. Like, so I'm glad that you mentioned it. I hope that people will latch onto that and go, oh, there's another one of these guys who, you know, the secret is, and I don't think women have the same challenge or call, but, you know, for sure.
I'll just add to that encouragement. Anybody listening, it's like so easy just to go through your life and ignore so much, and there's a cost to that. You lose out on a lot of, you know, maybe who you're called to be, your humanness, and it's not easy, because it's easy in the short term to ignore things, but it's like anything else that we ignore in the short term, there's going to be a cost for that.
Yeah, and as a wife too, like, to be able to hold that for your husband and be able to be there when he is ready to be emotional and share some of those scary feelings is really important, because I think that's where you can really help support him in what he needs to discover about his own feelings and his own emotions. And I think that can be scary if you don't feel like you can share that with your wife. I mean, we've shared some really intimate details about things with each other that have really opened up and blossomed a lot of our growth together, because we've accepted each other fully. You know, our past, our present, like, we're just always trying to go deeper so that the other feels like they have that safe place to land.
Yeah, cool. Now I'll ask one of my canned questions. When we were going back and forth before the interview, I saw this initials BJJ. I didn't know what it was. I was like, BJ. So, okay, that sounds interesting. But then, then I had to look it up. It's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and it sounds like it's like something that's really important to you guys, or that it's somehow relevant to your story. What, like, tell me about that. What is that? I mean, what is it for both of you? I mean, is it just you, Billy, or like, what's the deal there? Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, why is that?
Why is that a thing?
Yeah,
really.
I'm not sure what.
I'm surprised he's actually.
I'm not sure. Because
so on your some of your questions for us pre-show, we Billy's been involved in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu since he was 19.
Yeah,
okay. And some of our family members have followed suit in the last couple of years. I started when we moved here to Middle Tennessee, and a couple of our kids got involved. And so, but he's got the most bragging rights in it. 3rd degree.
Yeah, 3rd degree black belt.
Okay, but what is it? Like, and what is the life lesson? What is the...
Oh my goodness.
I think that there's I happen to believe that there's relational life lessons in all things, everything, right? So if you're an artist, you can talk about how art informs your relationship. If you're a dentist, you can talk about, so I don't know. I've never talked to anybody who does Jiu Jitsu about how they understand
it's a martial art form. Think about if you're familiar with wrestling. It's there's some similarities with wrestling.
I've seen it on the Instagram. I can look at it, but like it's a
it's a grappling art where there are joint manipulations and chokeholds. It's based on the idea that the average self-defense scenario is going to end up in an engaged scenario, as opposed to you look at like a Muay Thai fight or a boxing match and they're not engaged generally, right? There's some tie up, but generally they're disengaged and they're striking each other, when that's not really how it looks. When you're walking down the street and you get attacked, most likely they're going to grab you around the waist, or they're going to grab you around the neck, and it's designed to be able to combat those attempts. And it's designed for people that aren't necessarily as physically gifted because it's not really based on strength. It's based on leverage and technique. And it is one of the weirdest addictions that you'll ever find. I got addicted the very first time I trained. I was, I don't know if you can tell now, but I'm this like really muscular guy, and I'm not really, but I'm in good shape. And when I was younger, I was really into weightlifting, and I was more jacked, you would say, than I am now. I was about 195 pounds, and I walked into this dojo, if you'd call it that, and I ended up, they call it rolling, which is like just basically means sparring. Okay. And I ended up with this guy. I'll never forget this. This was 26 years ago, and he got on top of me in what's called the mount position, which is essentially you're straddling your opponent. He's underneath, and I was strong and I was aggressive and I had no chance. I could not get out. And literally in that moment, I said to myself, I cannot live. And this might have been my twistedness. I don't know why I had this thought, but I said, I cannot live knowing that somebody could do that to me, especially somebody that was way smaller than me. That guy was about 145 pounds. And I was just so fascinated by it. I was pushing and I was turning and I was flailing, and it was all to no avail. And I decided that moment that I was going to learn this, and I have not been able to stop. It's so rewarding. It's so fulfilling. You asked about the life lessons. There's so many. It's physically beneficial. It's mentally. Think about life. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be things to figure out. And what better way to condition yourself to overcome challenges than with having somebody on your back or on top of you, and you need to figure out what technique to do and how to do it and the timing to be able to move forward or get out of a bad position. It makes some of the other challenges of life a little more bearable and maybe not quite as deep. It's like anything else that you do with other people. You know, for some people it's tennis or basketball, whatever it is. It's that camaraderie that you develop. You're doing it with other people. You're sweating together. You're growing together. You're learning together. You're pushing each other. That part has been really great from a social standpoint as well. And because I've been doing it so long now, I'm more. I started off, I was one of the younger guys on the mat. Now I'm one of the older guys on the mat, and I get to give back and teach and help with what I've learned, and that's been great.
It's fascinating. Yeah. Another thing that I don't typically take the bait on, but I feel like. Not that you have earned the right, but I don't typically take the bait on people telling me about how their relationship is rooted in the Lord and how but hearing you describe that, like I have long argued, I can speak Christianese, like I'm fluent in that area. And I've long argued that I think the most intimate passage in the Bible is Jacob wrestling with the angel. And it seems like a little bit of what you're describing. Like there's this grappling and this kind of trying to find leverage and try to find, how to become transformed functionally, and at the end, he's like, all I want is more of this. Like, tell me how to do this.
Amen. You end up with a limp.
You end up with a limp and a new name.
Yep.
So
That's chills.
that is cool. Do you want to speak a little bit to like what do you mean when you say the secret is like a relationship that's grounded in faith or grounded in the Lord? Like, what is that language for you?
Yeah, well, Melissa's the Christianese speaker here, so we'll let her grab that one. Let's see. For me, it is.
Well, let her grab it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I grew up in a pastor's home, so I'm well versed in church and how to serve in church, how to be a part of church, how to do the right thing, not the wrong thing. I'm a rule follower. All those things. But as I've gotten older, as I've become a wife and a mother, I realize that my faith has to go deeper. Like, I can't just do all the surface things. I can't just constantly serve and feel like, oh, okay, the Lord's blessed me and, I'm doing the right thing. I feel that I have a hunger for it. I have a hunger for depth in my faith, to ask those really hard questions, to kind of sit there and be like, oh, do I really believe this? When especially those difficult moments are coming. I also realize that scripture doesn't always heal in the moment, that it has to be a rooted thing that you just constantly are digging at, and planting in your life. It's not something that, I can just always say to myself and, oh, I feel better, that we are very human and we all come with stories and history and all these things that challenge that depthness with the Lord. But through marriage and my parenting, I've realized I need to get deeper with the Lord. I need to have that hunger and that desire to be so close to him, because I can't do this other stuff on my own. I can't figure it out. And anytime I ever try and do that, it's my own flesh that, sometimes gets it right, but then most of the time it doesn't. And so when we're having conflict or something, it's really wrestling with the Lord. Like, I'm so angry, or I'm so sad and I'm grieving this, or I just feel like I'm not getting ahead with this, or, and really coming with that rawness, I think has really deepened that relationship with the Lord and has made me better for my family. I'm certainly nowhere near, as we probably all are, where we want to be with the Lord, and that day will eventually come. But I think it's just getting down through the surface of what all that Christian stuff can be.
Yeah. It echoes what you guys said at the top of the time, which is, it's not that you don't have a 10 because you're there. You have a 10 because you're confident in that you're getting there, or that you're confident that you can navigate getting there with one another, or that you can wrestle together with the not being there. Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, if it really was a true 10, that would be kind of sad, I think, because that means that's kind of, that's kind of twisted too, but it's like,
well, that's why I always, when people say it, I'm like, oh brother, I got to deal with all these 10 people again. Like, what aren't they, what truth aren't they telling?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Okay. We only have a couple minutes left, but I want to ask you, you wanted me to ask you about your car in New York City. This is a story that is important.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a testament to like where we've come from. Billy's like the good storyteller, but I'll do my best. But just kind of where we've grown, I think it's a good wrap up to kind of where we are now. I was at the time working in New York City, taking the trains. Now he remembers.
No, because I remember like at first I was like, does this even make sense? But I think, I think it's perfect.
So we like to tell the story because it also shows the dynamic between men and women and just how differently our brains could be. So I was working in New York City. He came to pick me up so that we could travel to New Jersey for a BJJ tournament. And he came upstairs. I was showing him around the office. We said goodbye to all my colleagues, went downstairs, and we came out the door, and he said, I know I parked the car right here. And we're walking up and down the street trying to find our car. And if anyone knows New York City, Queens, any of those areas, you can't just park your car anywhere. Sure enough, it had gotten towed.
Yeah, well, I looked up and I said, I know it was right here. It was right under that
this sign that says
trucks only sign.
So we stopped and asked a police officer where the impound was. But before that,
Okay.
I freaked out and I said, what are we going to do? Because I'm thinking of the tournament he's got to make it to. I'm thinking we don't have a car. We're in New York City. How are we going to get there? Money. And he looks at me and goes, we're going to find our car. And it was just
It was as clear as day for me. I was like, you got to find out where the car is and go get it.
Yeah. And I'm all emotional and I want him to tap into that emotion, but he's just like Mr. Practical, like, let's go find our car. So I think now if something like that happened, I would probably stay calm. He might freak out a little bit. I don't know. Because now he's in tune with his emotions. No. But I think we would just tag team it and get on it and figure it out. And
we've had a lot of things similar.
Yeah. So I think through processes like that, we've just learned to communicate. And again, just going back to like the basics and the foundation of what we've learned and how it's made us better as a couple.
And if you want to see some funny, crazy stuff, go to a New York City car impound.
Oh my goodness.
And you'll see some wild things.
Yeah. That was a fun night. We did make it though.
Yes.
Where were you living at that time? Is this the high income area that you lived in?
Well, Long Island, New York. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife grew up in Greenwich.
Okay.
We lived for a couple years in Fairfield County there, but I understand that scene a little bit. It's wild being out here in Seattle and have people talk about the East Coast. I'm like, I want to, because I grew up in Virginia.
Okay.
So not quite Middle Tennessee, but I get that part-ish of the country, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are super fun. I love talking to you and hearing about your perspective, point of view, how you made it. We didn't even get into most of my like pre-planned questions, but those are my favorite interviews anyway.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on and sharing your story. And if people want to like know more about you or learn more about you or be like ask you questions, what should they do? How should they find you? Can they find? Is that allowed? Like, do you want them to?
Melissa is she's an influencer, so really easy to find.
Okay,
she makes her own reels.
I do have my own little Instagram account, but I'm by no means an influencer. He's the
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just mention a couple things. If they're just connecting, like, hey, really wanted to check in about some of those things you talked about or whatever, Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, it's just Billy Hofacker for me. And I work as a call it a profit coach. So help businesses become more profitable, and I have a website called yourfitnessmoneycoach.com. If that's resonates with anybody. I also do some marital coaching on the financial side. So that's something that could be of interest. And that should be good. And I have a podcast called Your Fitness Money Coach Podcast. If you happen to be listening and you happen to be a service-based business, I think you'll enjoy it. I talk a lot about growing healthfully, paying yourself more, reducing your stress around money, and just a lot of personal growth type stuff.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach.
Appreciate it.
All right. I want to say thanks again to Billy and Melissa for coming on the show. I want to say thank you for the handwritten thank you note. Thank you for your thank you and thank you. Actually, I think that's how relationships should work. You ought to try to out-thank one another. You should also become a member of our Marriage Therapy Radio Patreon community. Those of you who are contributing monthly really do help us keep things going over here. And I appreciate the support. It means a lot, puts a lot of wind at my back, helps me continue to find and publish interviews like this one. We have a lot lined up that I'm excited to share with you. Also want to remind you again to please check out my blog, which is called stuffiwrite.com. Trying to grow that over there. If you like what you read, subscribe, share, all the things you're supposed to do on the internet. And in the spirit of out thanking, I will thank you for the time and attention you're putting into your relationship, making it better today than it was yesterday.